everybody. In this video, I'd like to talk about try-catch and checked exceptions. Exceptions are errors that prevent a program from continuing normal execution. Exceptions are thrown by the program, and we can catch exceptions to handle them. So throw and catch are actually Java keywords. So what is a throws clause? A throws clause is a declaration that a method will not attempt to handle a particular type of exception. It is an explicit acknowledgement that a statement in the method may cause you to throw the exception. And so you can literally add this to the end of the method signature. Here I have public static void main string args, as we've seen before since day one of Java, but after that I have throws file not found exception. Right? So this is an example of a checked exception. Let's talk about file not found exceptions, because this is the follow-up video to the video where we talked about input files. But a file not found exception is thrown because the program is worried, in as much that programs have feelings, that the file might not exist on the file system. Unlike exceptions that we've seen before, file not found is a checked exception. A checked exception is an exception that must be caught or specifically declared in the header of the method that might generate it. And the compiler checks that we are aware of the exception. So the example that I had previously was this Java program that was meant to read in a file called test file. And I had done everything correctly in terms of setting my file paths, but when I tried to compile this, it still had a problem because it said that there was an unreported exception called file not found exception, which must be caught or declared to be thrown. So that caused an error. To get this program to actually do what I wanted it to do, I had to add this throws clause here. Throws file not found exception right after the declaration of the method. And also, to be able to throw this exception, Java had to know to look for it. So I needed to import this thing, import java.io.filenotfound exception. Good. So now, if I run this, it will work and it will print out the contents of test file, which was what I wanted. Well, now that we know what it means to throw an exception, let's talk about catching it. We're going to do that with something called a try catch. Try whatever your code is that you want to do, and if it doesn't work, you're going to catch the exception. So this will only happen if your code crashes. Right? So we're going to have a try and catch. Try to run the code, catch in case the file cannot be found. All right? So that is the general structure. And one thing I'll point out to you, it looks a lot like an if-else. Now, a lot of the times, if you try this code and it doesn't work, it catches the exception and it just causes you to basically crash with Grace, meaning that they will display an error message. So for example, here's Minecraft. If you lose this, it looks like we lost the connection, and it says there's some sort of exception, java.io.io exception, receive string length longer than maximum allowed, and the length was 258 when I expected 256. Okay, I guess if you're playing Minecraft, that's not super helpful, but at least it allowed Minecraft to crash gracefully instead of just shutting down. There are a variety of exception types that are useful for us. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I think are particularly important, although there are many. I have IO exception, which is what would happen if you tried to open a non-existent file. Arithmetic exception, which is what happens if you divide by 0. Null pointer exception, which is accessing a variable that is still null. Index out of bounds exception, trying to index to an array that goes out of range. and illegal argument exception, which we've seen a little bit before when our methods are given arguments that are not the way that we want them to be. Good. So basically, when you have your try-catch, you can put whatever exception you need to have in there. Now that we know the names of a couple of different exceptions, let's show an example of being able to catch multiple exceptions. Let's say that I have a method, public void my method, and it's going to have a couple of throws, arithmetic exception, and IO exception. And then, blah, the code does something that apparently can lead to divide by zero issues and have input-output problems. Cool. Now, elsewhere in the code, we might need to call my method to do something. And if you do that, because of these possible throws, you want to have a try around my method and then catch for the arithmetic exception and for the IO exception. Right, so it's the try-catch block is very similar, but now you have try and then multiple catch after it, and each of those catches have the curly braces associated with them right after them. Whatever you want to go in there, maybe just print a message, maybe do something else. It depends. And the last thing I want to point out to you in this video is you need to name the exception variable. So when you have this try-catch, the catch is going to be an object, is going to have in parentheses an object, which is an exception. So in this case, arithmetic exception. And I've called this exception variable AE, which makes sense because arithmetic exception. You can name it whatever you want, but the point is that you have to name it. Okay, great. So that's all I have for you today in this video, and thanks for watching.